Well, we get on the road just in time. I actually did my video this morning. It was so loud. The rain leaving Montague, Michigan was so loud, I had to redo my video. I think I've had to do that before once or twice in the past. But this was pretty evident. Man, it was loud. Anyway, we're on our way back to Ontario. You know, it was so weird. It was obviously I wanted the culmination of this weekend to be victories at the track with, you know, Mountaineer Prince and Sunset Acres Girl. And when we got to the track, I don't know if you guys could really tell in the video how bad the track was, but we couldn't. The facility itself looked nice. I said to Amy, we got there, Addie was upset because they were just setting up the fair. So the fair wasn't in full swing, so to speak, but it was being set up. The track itself looked nice, but upon closer review, it seemed to be the beach, like literally beach sand that they put on it, and too much of it, from what I could see. And when we warmed up, I said, yeah, we'll race, I guess, but man, we're not beating like 220. Like this track is very deep. So Donnie was saying a lot of the tracks are a little deep and playing like that all year, and if that's the case, as I said to Donnie, I don't think we're going to have to call in the FBI to figure out why Mountaineer Prince is making breaks. He's a smaller horse, and to get through that type of track, it's frustrating, I would say, for him, to say the least. Now, it was so cool when we were at the track. I had a number of people come up and say, hey, thanks for coming to Michigan, hope you're having a good time, whatever. I hadn't seen Mike Delph in a while, and just everybody was really nice. And then I got a text. Henry texted me and said he saw our message from the day before, our video from the day before about how the breakfast sandwich was fantastic at Colby's Cafe. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I have a bakery, and if you like Colby's Cafe's breakfast sandwich, you'll love ours. So I invite you on your way home to stop in at Sunset Acres Bakery. Yes, the breeder of Sunset Acres Girl. And that's where we're at right now. It is actually on the way back to Ontario. So we're going to stop in. And going to test out Henry's Bakery to see how it is. I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be tough to beat Colby's Cafe's breakfast sandwich. That's a tall order. A tall order. So that is what's gone on the last 2 days. Obviously, we came here to race two horses. Sure, I wanted to take my family away, and I was so hoping they would have fun, and they did. I know one thing, I would come back here for 4, 5, 6 days. No problem. This would be a vacation destination for your average person. I can tell you that right now. What a beautiful place it was. And we did get some business done when we were here. I had a lot of people message me and say, Anthony, why? I looked online. I didn't see that the stable bought La Dorraine. There was a number of horses selling today that we were very interested in. I said, well, probably because Steve was the one that bid on the horse. I was literally on a Sea-Doo at the time, and Steve was the one that brought the filly to my attention. I said, yeah, I saw her, thought she looked great. Her lines are exactly what we're looking for. Every so often, we are always trying to find that diamond in the rough. Not to say that La Dorraine is. Please don't read into any more than what I'm saying. Take it all with a grain of salt. I will tell you this. La Dorraine is the type of horse I'm always on the lookout for. Pedigree, back class, supposed to have some back class with her pedigree. You look at who owned her. Brad Grant owned her. I believe M&M bred her, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. This is the sister to a horse that beat us last night in Gigondis, or Gigonda, as they call them in Ontario. This is the sister by Trixton. Let's say she has 6 lines, 4 of them are breaks. She did qualify in 55 in a piece, and then 57, and made a break in Lexington. And right up, like as I said, right up my alley. These are horses I like to tinker with sometimes. You know, put the hobbles on, change the shoes, get her right. She'll go, and because she is coming off a break, off a qualifier, which means she would have to qualify in Ohio, she does not have to qualify at the Meadows, and I would suspect that's where we're planning to race her. Her first start for us would be at the Meadows. Now, if her lines are true to form, and she is in Kentucky, I'll have her shipped out of there as we take Militant out of there this week. Many of you had saw my video talking, and I'll talk more about it in a minute. The Militant situation is bittersweet. We have a horse that's really racing good right now, but racing good in the condition claimer at Northfield. The transition to any sort of staking division in Kentucky may have been rough, but absolutely worth looking into. And I don't regret taking the horse to Kentucky. But do we leave him down there with him beat, 9 or 10 lengths yesterday? Or do we just take him back where he's going to be 6-5 at Northfield Park? I think the latter makes the most sense. We have a soft landing spot for him. We could, say, we're going to try it one more week. We could, but that's another week that we're away from Northfield Park. So a lot going on with him. We'll talk about him in a minute, but this video was going to start with La Dorraine and Sunset Acres Bakery. That's what we're going to talk about to begin with. So I'm eager. Henry, I'm up to the challenge. I'm going to try your breakfast sandwich here in about 20 minutes exactly. And we'll see what the Sunset Acres Bakery has for us. In regards to La Dorraine, I have no idea how many shares are up. I know Kelly is going to be sending out a note. I think we paid $15,800 or $400 for her. A really, really good-looking filly, bang for your buck type situation. I think that would be a seller's price, a buyer's price yesterday, the low end of what I thought she would bring. I told Steve, I think 16 to 19, somewhere in there. We ended up getting her for less than 16. And actually, I don't think I said 19. I think I said 16. And we got her for less than 16. I just think she's worth it. And definitely worth a try. She has that residual broodmare value for later in the fall if we decide that, not what we want. But from what I can see, this is our type of horse. This is the horse that I'm always on the lookout for. So that was La Dorraine. We talked about Kentucky yesterday briefly. Memory and Imagination. No blood found in any scopes yesterday. So I'll run through those really quick. Memory and Imagination Pickpocket, a little bit short. Trotted 53 and a piece, 28 on the end. Just needed to be tightened up. They got that now. I'm almost tempted just to drop Pickpocket down into the Goldenrod just to see if we can pick him back up, because he still does have Corbin later on and a multitude of other stakes. And this horse is nothing anyway, right? And I know somebody said, wow, geez, I really hope he races the handball. So did I. I did too. We were prepping him for that when we were bringing him back. But if you want to just take a minute, take a deep breath, and look at every racetrack in North America right now, you will find a horse that somebody thought was going to be in the Hambletonian that didn't come back great. I don't care if it's Ron Burke or Aki Sponstead or Tony Alagna or anybody, any major trainer in North America, you'll find the same type of situation. It's not the end of the world. The difference is that Pickpocket is far, far away from break even on the good side of things. We're going to have a good summer with him the rest of the summer. Let's just get him back on track, and I think dropping him to the Goldenrod might be the best way to go about that. Leave Memory and Imagination where he is right now. Dave Miller said his gait was good, everything was good. Just, that's what he had for him yesterday. That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. Memento Mori, Scotty said was on the right line a little bit, but I said, well, there was an ulcer found on his palate. You can see where Scotty got in a little bit of trouble with him in the last turn. We just have to try to avoid those. And quite frankly, this is a situation also. Somebody said, I know you hate when there's money left on the table. Certainly looks like he could have won yesterday. Certainly looks like he could have won the week before. Yes, but let's be honest. Let's, again, take a step back and look at the playing field. That colt has lots of money on the table for the rest of the season. He has the rest of Kentucky. He has the Breeders' Crown. He's a number of races that we have paid him into, and he will be racing it. So, yes, he might have got beat in a lag of the Kentucky Sires his last start, 30-30. He was second, beat, a length and half a length or a length and a half. It doesn't matter. Memento Mori's a very good horse, and I think that having him in those situations are only going to play better for us later on. So I think Memento Mori raced fantastic also. Westland Warrior was great. A lot of people asking, what did Scotty think? It's a big deal. Now, Scotty and I had a great conversation last night about this horse, and it was hard maybe for him to quantify and understand the small changes we made and what kind of a major difference it appeared like on the track. And until you sit behind a horse when he's almost good, and then you make some changes and he's very good, you don't understand that, right? You don't get to look behind the curtain and understand this is what we did, this is what the results were of those minor changes. And I really find it hard to believe that 1 + 1 = 2 in this case. Well, I'm not. I've seen that many, many, many times before. I think Westland Warrior went from being, yeah, well, we'll see all of it. The whole bagel. I'll be inspecting that bagel soon enough, or the remnants of it. But Westland Warrior, I'm not surprised at all. The day I trained him in Lexington, I could tell he was on track, he was dialed in, and he was drilled down where he was in a good spot. Obviously, I wish he'd have moved him yesterday, but I was very impressed with the way he weaved through that last quarter in 27-2, and he didn't really even get started up till we came out of the turn. So it wouldn't be that hard to believe that was actually a quarter in 27, 26-4. That was a big last quarter for Westland Warrior, and I was thoroughly impressed and excited about next week. Now that Scotty has confidence in the pole, what's he going to do next week with him? Here comes the rain again. Militant, I talked about him. Scotty just felt that maybe he wasn't quite good enough to tangle with him. You know, if we didn't have a place to race him where he was going to be 6-5, I would say, let's just try him a couple more times, see if he can, pick it up, see if he can stretch him out a little bit, turn him into a horse that can do in there. But when we know there's a spot for him where he's 6-5, I just don't think we should make much haste. We should waste much time when we already know what he can do. And I think that's where my feelings are with him. And then last night, aside from Chicago Hall, which I thought was a good mile, we'll start with him because the rest of them weren't overly impressive. Chicago Hall, I thought should have maybe been second, but moving him twice, getting him out, he looks like that big lumbering type. Not much to move him over to sprint late in the stretch and late in the mile, especially on a mile where it's the fastest mile he's ever seen. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I still think he's one of the better colts in Ontario. And then we had Great Bet and Love and Affection. Tough night for Hunter last night. Didn't get away from the gate very well with Great Bet. Ended up pushing to the front, used hard to get to the front. Parked Billy a half in 55, and obviously it didn't work out very well for us. This colt up in this class, you can't drive him like that. You need to be a little more conservative with him. Lead, sit, follow, finish up. He raced well last week, but that's because of the way he drove him last week. He might have been 6-5 last night, but you can't drive him like that in that class. And I think Hunter knows that now. And if I can't drive him next week and we list him again, I think he knows. Now, you've seen him race good, you've seen him race bad, you know what not to do, and you know what to hope for, and that's what we're at. That's where we're at with Great Bet, and I don't think that's unfair to anybody to say that. Now, when it comes to Love and Affection, Jason was thoroughly confident that this filly would be great last night. Made a break in the first turn, never raced in a half before. Jason thought maybe we should have put a gate pole on the inside. I'm not sure. I haven't sat behind Love and Affection yet, but I'll sit behind her next week, and I'm sure we can get her around and do some damage. As it turned out, that class was maybe a little saltier than we predicted last night, but generally speaking, that's a very good class for a Love and Affection type, and she'll be fine next week, I would imagine. All gas, no brakes. Hobbles need to go out, needs to have a little bit more of that work done. You can't move them first over, right? Not in with that bunch. You need to be on the front in the 2-hole or sit like Chris did and attack late in the mile. And I think maybe James knew that I wanted him driven aggressively last night, and that was as aggressive as he could put him into play, and it ended up working against us, actually. I think had he just left, got away fifth and been second or third over, who knows, he might have been fine. But to get away fourth and be first over with that horse was not going to be helpful last night, and it's just the way the trip worked out. But I think aside from that, probably it looks like his stifle's a little rickety. He might need his stifles done. And those hobbles, now that he's getting sounder and his confidence is building again, they got to go out. It looks like they need to go out 2 or 3 holes. That's what it appeared to me last night anyway. And then Brace for Landing. Again, he threw those races in where he was great. Now he got beat up a couple of times. They're going in 51. A couple of things. One, his confidence might have taken a little hit over the last 3 weeks. And 2, he's not a 51 trotter right now. What I would like to see, and I would like to see it at some point, I'd like to see him without the hobbles on. I'd like to take the hobbles off him and race him accordingly and see how he feels at that point. I don't know how it'll be, but he certainly felt when I drove him, he felt like he didn't need them. James had said the same thing. We might both be wrong, and he may very well need those. To have a horse that raced with hobbles on their whole life, and then just say, you know what, we're just going to take those hobbles off. Yeah, that's easier. It's easier said than done. You can do it, no problem. But the result you may not like. So at some point, I would like to try him without hobbles on, but I think maybe he needs a week off also. And I think I'm just going to reach out to Dominic and say, hey, don't worry about putting brace for landing in this week. And what we could do is school him easy off the gate without hobbles on. That would be an easier trip for him, one. And two, we'd be able to see if he can actually go with it. That might be that might be the smartest thing to do. So that's where we're at right now with everybody. I'm surprised we've no racing today. Not a race today, which is fine. We're on our way right now to Henry's Bakery, the Sunset Acres Bakery in, I have no idea where it is, somewhere in Michigan on the GPS. We are 22 minutes. How'd that happen? We're still 22 minutes away from the bakery. But for you, I hope you're having a dry day. I doubt you are, because it appears to me it's raining everywhere in the world. It's raining in Ohio, it's raining in Ontario, and it is most definitely raining in Michigan. But absolutely no complaints. I'm glad we came here. I wish we had a race, but had a tremendous time had an absolute tremendous time with Amy and the kids. So, did you guys have fun? Amy had fun? Amy?
Yep.
Not an emphatic yes, but definitely a great time. And if you're looking, I can say this with all confidence, if you're looking to just have some time with your family or your loved one, just take yourself away from the grind of life for 3, 4, 5 days, absolutely. That part of Michigan, I'd have no problem going back there again. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Have a wonderful day. Stay dry. More racing coming your way tomorrow. Take care.